saying, and Gitonga Mukunji representing them here. Now, there has also been another conversation about fighting corruption, or is it a contest about corruption? The president raised the alarm. The members of parliament have been responding. The church has spoken. Let's hear what they said yesterday.
Cannot be everybody, but those that are caught in this, they must be brought to book so that we can be able to set an example, so that we just don't talk about it, but we go deep into it and we come out with a lasting solution.
It's the right time now for the president to take action and arrest these guys, the parliament and the parliamentarians.
Kwa hivyo sisi wote pamoja na opposition, iwe ni kwa serikali, tuombe ili Mungu atumalizie corruption.
Wakati umefika wa kuchukua hatua na kunyamazisha hiyo midomo ya ufisadi, ndio taifa letu liweze kuwa na pesa ya kutosha kusaidia mambo yetu ya kiuchumi.
Turning to prayer, but also there has been other leaders who spoke on Saturday about the same.
Tafadhali tuwe wa kweli wa mambo tunayoyasema. Otherwise we cannot talk water while you're having wine. Hatuwezi. We are ever slipping back. Watu wanarudi hali ile ile. Ukiangalia jinsi uchumi ulivyo, na kwa sababu ya uchumi ukadorora kwa sababu uporaji wa mali ya umma, watu kadhaa, sisemi ni nani na nani, ni kila mtu aweke kidole hivi agundue tatu za mwelekea.
PVK welcomes the president's recent stance against corruption. Such tough talk isn't new. More often, it is not followed up with action.
It seems he knows who received the 10 million. We need to see them arrested.
Who received the 10 million? Should that be the problem, or really also the person who gave? But the political class is also speaking. Hear what they are saying.
Leo hii Apostle tunanyoshewa kidole pale bunge. Na mimi nataka hawa waumini wajue. Hiyo kelele yote unasikia ni kutarget hawa bunge hapa.
Instead of seeing the broad-based government, you see the broad-based corruption, BBC. Ukiangalia nyuma yake unaona pesa kwa e-Citizen 40 billion imekulwa. Kwa hivyo rais, ili umalize corruption, you must start with your house.
Huyo mtu ndio bado anatuimbia mambo ya corruption. Apostle, hii kitambo itusaidie. Na waomba wewe utuletee hizi vitambaa. We want to unravel the issue of corruption once and for all.
So many solutions: kitambaa, maombi, preach wine, take wine, preach water, take water, not preach wine and take water, or preach water and take wine. Let me begin again with you on this one, Mheshimiwa Mukunji, because the accusation is on the Houses of Parliament. What do you know about that?
Well, I think it is clear that even members of Parliament have not refused that there is corruption in Parliament. And there was a debate last week before we went on recess.
Yep.
Sadly, I never got a chance to say something, because it was actually an embarrassment to hear members of Parliament lamenting and clearly coming out and saying, oh, the president has said, the president is victimizing Parliament. We have done a lot for you. We expected you not to bring us down. But we actually need to have this conversation. The fact of the matter is, yes, there is influence through giving of resources to members of Parliament.
By this you mean money?
And by that I mean money.
Yes.
There has been influence to pass things that are against our people, including Finance Bill 2024 and others. And these things are things that are reality of matters. But let me say that when the president is coming out and claiming Parliament is corrupt, what does he want to achieve? What is it that he is trying to tell us? Is he trying to say he's the one to oversight Parliament? And the question is, why the conversation at this time? One thing I want to say, Sam, is that Parliament has failed Kenyans because it is the house of oversight. Mm-hmm. It is the house that the voice of the people is supposed to be implemented, and they check on the executive. But they have gone to bed with the executive completely, in a way that today, when the majority leader speaks, the minority leader will speak in support of the majority leader, and then the rest will be programmed to ensure that the narrative takes the way. I want to say that it is good that the president spoke, but he spoke not to fight corruption. He did not say that so that he can fight corruption. He said that so that he can come in slowly and cleanse himself, make sure that he's clean, in a way that he can be able to now endear himself to the people through some sort of a fake fight of this monster called corruption. If we are serious about corruption, we should bring to task the institutions that have been given the mandate to fight corruption. Mm. And these are institutions such as the EACC. It is a sad state of affairs that today, for the last close to 1 or 2 months, there has been issues being raised on eCitizen, but we have not seen anything in terms of even the EACC coming in and saying, we are looking into this matter. It is sad.
So at the moment, Parliament is looking into it, I think a parliamentary committee, and it might appear like it's one of the triggers to this conversation. You know, the team that is dealing with the audit report on eCitizen resources.
Well, we have seen many Parliament committee looking into things, which at the end of the day, they just disappear. But EACC...
Why do they disappear?
Let's even start with the issues of Adani. They started being checked by the National Assembly.
Yes.
It is upon the US saying something that there was a response from the executive. But the Parliament and already... there is a use of Parliament to settle guys and settle Kenyans that we are looking into things, and then things disappear. That is how...
And does money play a role in such processes?
I wouldn't say no to that, because I know that happens.
Okay.
Yes.
Fred, multi-agency team formed, taken to court, stopped by the courts. I think the mention again is on the 9th of September, if I'm not mistaken on the date. But we've seen similar efforts, even with the President Uhuru Kenyatta. The list of shame, 175 names in 2015, March 2015, but still ends up with nothing. Are we really serious about dealing with corruption?
No, we are not. Some we are not. The reason why we are not, you see, we have had speeches about this corruption. First of all, we all admit here that Kenya is corrupt. The institutions are corrupt. We admit that the corruption in Kenya is no longer systematic, but is systemic. It is wholesome. It is ingrown in an institution, and it has become normal. In fact, people praise corruption. The more corrupt you are, the more admirable you are, and the high chances that you'll be elected because you give money and buy voters. It is unfortunate. Now, I agree with Mkunji because he has admitted that the institution that he sits in is corrupt. And therefore, that is an admission by a member who sits in that house. Therefore, it is true. Number two, the anti-corruption moment that we are witnessing today is something that we should be very happy about. When the convergence of Raila Odinga and William Ruto comes to the table and tell the members of public and an institution that we know what happens in Parliament, we know that there are members of Parliament who have been soliciting for inducements during their oversight and legislative roles. That acceptance is what we need to move forward. But some, We have, in this country, we are one of the most lucky countries. We don't lack laws to fight corruption. Yeah. We have enough laws, enough of them.
And institutions.
In fact, we have even institutions. And that's why it takes me to what you're saying, the multi-agency. Yes, that was set up. Because it is before a court of competent jurisdiction, I don't want to talk about it. But the intention by the president to show that he actually wants to fight corruption is something that we should applaud. You see, it does not matter that the institution of the executive itself is corrupt, but it matters that there's somebody who sits there who has seen it fit that we must fight it. What he must do, he must fight it from within executive, parliament, and even judiciary. But Sam, let me remind you of something. Why is it that the cases built by EACC stall in court? Because files all of a sudden become thin, witnesses are no longer protected, and the political interference distorts the facts. Then come the ODPP. In one of the papers yesterday, reported that maybe one of the weakest links is the prosecution. Because all of a sudden, corruption cases of high magnitude are withdrawn without a proper explanation. Number two, convictions are selective. You hear there are people who are serving in the parliament where Mukunji sits, and they are convicts. We have seen that. We know that. Because, and also I agree with Mukunji when he accepts that the institution where he serves in is corrupt. I think what we must do, we must now apply three things. Number one, we must protect any witness that comes forth and says Parliament is corrupt, and they know who are these corrupt members, and they forward their names for prosecution. Number three, we must adopt technology. I'm happy the government today has adopted the e-procurement. So, I'm sure you know that, where they use technology to procure stuff. And it is very difficult to dismiss digital trails in corruption. So you can trace the corruption to its core. Number three, I also agree that this discussion must go beyond Parliament. It must go to all institutions. It must even go to private sector, where we have seen even bigger corruption. Because some of the money that are used in corruption activities come from the private sector. They find their way into Parliament when the parliamentarians are legislating and oversighting. So these are discussions that we must not dismiss. And whether the members of Parliament want to invite the president to give evidence through personal appearance or through documentation, it's neither here nor there. What must happen is we must start fighting corruption. In the 10-point agenda, one of the issues of discussion and implementation is how to stop corruption. In the NADCO report, one of the issues of implementation is how to fight corruption. Therefore, it is a good starting point, and let's not make it political.
You've just said that we are a blessed country, we have a lot of laws and institutions.
We do.
We still have to depend on NADCO, the 10-point agenda between ODM and UDA.
It is a discussion, Sam, because I've identified, in my view, like many others, in fact, the media has been very useful. If I could add out of the three, the media...
See how you move it from
No, I'm not moving. I'm just telling you, because it is true that these institutions, some of them are not working. It is true that some of these institutions that are tasked...
Is it possible that the parties to the UDA-ODM deal, not the principals, but the parties that are involved there, is it possible that they themselves are corrupt?
Yes, it is possible.
So how do they sit down to have a discussion on how to fight?
Who are the members of the implementation committee? They're not members of Parliament. These are individuals from outside. We are talking
about the Dr. Zani team.
Yes.
So whatever they come up with, what force of law does it have?
Maybe some you have not understood the role of that committee. The role of that committee is to ensure implementation. The implementation is done by different agencies. Parliament, one of them.
What force of law does that committee?
Forget about the force of law. We are talking about real issues. The real issues are we have a problem. The problem that we have require discussion, require implementation of solutions that have been advanced by the people. Some of these reports that they're going to advance the implementation came from the people. So NADCO was a people's issue.
The Dr. Zani team, when it comes up with a report and serious recommendations, how can they make that happen?
I don't think it is about the report or recommendation they come up with. They're already recommendation reports.
So what are they going to do?
It is the implementation, to oversee the implementation, Sam. This implementation, we can argue that until they come home.
Just answer me.
But you see, this is, you know, the unity, people argue that this is just two parties. But there are two parties with the largest representation in this country. And therefore, the reports, and even other than previous ones, that people have come together and said, we would want to see end of corruption. It did not come from ODM. It did not come from UDA. It came from the people. Now, somebody must take charge. And whoever must take charge, in my view, is the institutions of government that have been put in place to implement this. If the committee recommends or come and say, we have a weak link in the judiciary, or we have a weak link at the ODPP, then the people must be asked, what do we do with a weak link in fighting corruption at the ODPP? Number three, if they say it is the executive that is messing up things, then what do we do with the executive? I feel, in my view, that some of these will end up in a referendum because there are issues of concern that touches on so many things. Functions of parliament. We're talking about now strengthening devolution. We're talking about members of parliament insisting that, you know, we must have the NGCDF. Let the people decide. Okay. So, in my view, the committee is important in the implementation. Very important.
So, things will end up in a referendum, yet the committee is not legally recognized or constitutionally recognized?
Some. Anyone can propose. No, as I answer you, anyone.
Those in the provision. They've been appointed by Raila Odinga and William Ruto. You know the case.
Who are they?
BBI.
Yes, it was.
It collapsed.
Why did it collapse? Because the initiator was who? Who was the initiator?
The presidency.
Is this the president initiating?
Whose committee is this? Not William Ruto's and Raila Odinga?
This is a committee appointed by the two-party leaders. And they are not in parliament, they are not in executive, they are not in judiciary. Fred, these are individuals.
Two-party leaders is President William Ruto and Raila Odinga. William Ruto is the president of Kenya.
Well, let's wait for the outcome of that committee. We are going before the cut.
Wilson Sossion, what do you think about all this spirited war? And is it just something to keep us busy, or we are serious about it?
No, I think the dimension in which it's taking in terms of arguments is not right, because that is going to mar the good intentions that the president has really stated. Son, the fact is, let us all agree as Kenyans that we have entrenched corruption in all institutions.
Correct.
In the executive, in parliament, and in the judiciary. That's a fact. And we've had a very resilient economy that has withstood corruption for years and years. And now, let us have a Damascus moment and begin to face corruption head-on collectively as Kenyans and speak in one accord. The fact is, we have legislation, we have created institutions, but we don't have, we have not had a serious administrative coordination on this matter. And this is where the president has come out very firmly. And we have asked, where is this agenda of corruption coming from? Where is the legislative position of the two parties? UDA and ODM signed a joint agreement, an MOU, and one of the items is corruption. And to weed out corruption in a country, it's all about leadership. If the leader of the country can viciously, and the president has shown that intention, and the president should not walk back, should not look back. The business of the president now should be conversation and implementing administrative strategies of rooting out corruption in government. And this explains why these multi-agency teams, these are government institutions that the president put together so that they can administratively implement the provisions of the legislation.
That has been stopped by the courts because they are complaining.
The court will try and stop.
Let me raise the question.
Yes.
So, of course, now up until 9th, so that we can get directions, it cannot function. So what are these administrative strategies that the president must implement to fight corruption that the current setup doesn't?
If we are talking, when I talk about Damascus moment, we must get out of the way we normally think. We must get out of the cheap argument that we are trying to argue about and defend and delegitimize, deconstitutionalize certain provisions, like, of course, the committee that the president has established. If the court has declared it unconstitutional, that does
not declare. Does not.
If it has been set aside, that still does not stop the president from providing administrative leadership to slay corruption. And you know, this country must criminalize and punish corruption. It must. And until and unless we do it...
Some ideas that the president may use.
And when the president laid the agenda before parliamentarians, it's now incumbent upon parliamentarians to take the lead and begin providing leadership in the fight of corruption right from parliament. That's a fact for sure, because parliamentarians are elected, are representatives of the people elected by the people of Kenya. Until and unless parliament provides leadership, you cannot fight corruption in the executive, neither will you fight corruption in the judiciary.
I'm struggling here. You've said the president should come up with administrative strategies to fight corruption. I'm looking for ideas.
And he has done that. And the multi-agency, even if it has been set aside, that doesn't stop the president from supervising and operationalizing, ensuring that institutions within government function. Of course, when you talk of DPP, when you talk of EACC, when you talk of NIS, for example, and the institutions that were put together are institutions that have capacity, mandate to supervise and coordinate implementation of programs to fight corruption. We must feel as a country that the country is vibrating in terms of fighting corruption in all levels of government and in all arms of government, judiciary, executive and legislature. Okay. If we are deliberate about it, we shall do it. But if we argue and we try to demean the presidency has made a pronouncement. And I think it is moral for the country. It is moral for parliament. It is moral for political parties. It is also moral for judiciary and even those who work in the executive to support that cause. And to me, the president should not look back. He should not walk back. All right. He has the authority and instruments of the state to lead the country in the war against corruption. And here, he has the support of every Kenyan.
All right. Interesting, that statement you said last. Now, the Standard, the main story is use...
how haven't you...
I'm coming to you.
Okay.
The Standard is use and dump. I'm not dumping him, Mheshimiwa Ndishu. And the story continues on page 4 and 5 of the Standard, how Parliament has been turned into the president's lapdog. And they're giving stories and quotations of what has transpired previously, the process of impeaching Rigathi Gachagua, of approving Professor Kithure Kindiki. I was hoping that we'd hear from Gitonga Mukunji on specific references to figures. But at the same time, Mheshimiwa Ndishu, we have the executive. You are holding the constitution there, the structure of the governance in this country. So you have the executive led by the president rather. You have parliament, 2 houses of parliament for specific roles. At the county levels, you have county assemblies. Then you have the judiciary. So these are, ideally, these are institutions that should oversight each other, or rather checks and balances. Then you have independent offices, in this case, EACC, ODPP, the DCI. But then you have our structure of politics, where you have party leaders that whip members. You have a WhatsApp group that is being referenced by Standard newspaper here, where the party leader speaks, the party members, in this case members of parliament, who listen and do accordingly. Is that part of our problem, that you're not able to deal with corruption, such that when parliamentarians hear the president saying that parliament is corrupt, they're saying, we have done everything for this president. How is he turning against us at this moment? And how do we deal with that? Yet we have such a good constitution, such a good structure, but not working to fight corruption.
Thank you, Sam. The people of Kenya, when they hear the word corruption coming from such a high office as the president's mouth, they take it as kipindi. Corruption in Kenya sasa ni kipindiri. Do you call it kipindiri?
Kipindire.
Kipindire. Yeah. It's a kipindi. They know this is something that has come as a kipindi. Ya leo tuone, jioni tuone ingine. Let's go back to President Uhuru Kenyatta's tenure. He announced one morning that this country is losing 2 billion shillings every day. He was the president. He left the presidency without having any one single person arrested for the 2 billion shillings that were being lost every day.
Yep.
President Ruto is now in office. Maybe that figure has now jumped up to 4 billion shillings every day. Nothing is happening. That's why it is kipindi. When the president announced on Monday last week about members of parliament, and I watched the president talking about it, he was not bitter that the money was taken, he was bitter because he got raw information that the 10 million he gave didn't reach the members.
Is it?
And he asked the member, and he actually asked the members, did you receive the 100 million? They said no. Sure? Then he was actually, that was his bitterness.
That's what he asked.
Not that he, let me finish. No, wait a minute. It's
he didn't say he sent the money.
Hey, come on, my friend. It was live.
It was a government bill.
It was live. It was live. He said 10 million shillings were gotten.
Then you are a witness.
And it was to be brought to you, member. Did you receive it? They said no.
No.
It is live. Anyway, let's not call it. Let me. It is my point. It's my chance. You had your chance to talk. I was quiet. Let me make my presentation.
Go ahead.
So what we are witnessing today, Sam, is a country that even Kenyans themselves are tired to hear the word corruption. They are waiting for a revolutionary leadership that will come in this country and stop this nonsense of corruption, because successive regimes...
Is that possible?
Yes. Well, it's a suggestion. Many countries have suffered, and what you call revolutionary agencies and revolutionary generation came and stopped everything. That is what Kenyans are waiting for. Not anybody to stop corruption today. They know it is not possible. Look at the multi-agencies, DCI, EACC, and even the one that President was attempting to create. My friend here said that there are some members of parliament today who were even gotten from jail. The judiciary did its role. The DCI arrested somebody, they processed him, they did the investigation, they adduced evidence, they presented it before the judge, and the judge found a member of parliament, I think one or two, culpable, and they put them in prison. And then somebody in government went to prison and got them out. And now they are sitting in parliament, pretty cozy. Yet, I mean, let me not mention it, but you know it, we are in this country.
I'm asking because the case I know is someone who actually successfully appealed against...
Well, we can talk that later, but all I'm saying, is that, Sam, is that as much as we may try to fight corruption in this country, unless the president himself, and he was asked by the members of parliament on Monday, shame them. Mr. President, shame them. What did the president reply? No, I am not going to shame them. I am going to have them arrested. Let's wait as he comes back from Japan, whether any one of them will be arrested. And do you know why they cannot be arrested? Because they say, touch me, and I say you, what you have taken. Ever since those years, you see, everybody is involved. Somebody said here that all the institutions are involved in this corruption. So there's no one you can touch. Because I know what you have taken, you know what I have eaten, we all know what he has stolen, we all know what he is, we know everybody. So if you touch one, the whole thing will explode. That's why this is an untouchable area in this country. And so, because, for example, I don't have any evidence, because you have seen the ODPP saying some cases were taken to him, investigations were conducted, the file is ready, ready to be taken to court for prosecution. Then it is put there, and then a phone call comes and say, hey, ngoja kidogo hiyo case. Hiyo watu usiongee na wao. So anasema, what is this? Is ready. So some people are called and say,
is that still happening?
My friend, it is happening. Why do we have... The ODPP has a very big heap of files of completed investigations, but they cannot be touched because touch one and dare to take him to court, he is going to come up with evidence that will, let me finish, that will shake the whole system. DCI, so everybody, let me finish, Sam, let me finish.
Where is the independent?
Let me tell you, today, both the judiciary, the DCI, the EACC, and everybody involved says, look, people are stealing here, we do our job, and then when we attempt to go and push it further, we are told to stop. So what are they going to do? They are going to call that one.
Who is this who calls them to stop?
No, my friend, you live in this. You don't live in. We all live in this country.
No, you know so much. Tell us.
Yes, I know, and I told you last time that when I tell you things here, and you remember I told you last year about what was happening with our friend, the deputy, and eventually because the close of the year, it came what I was telling you. So they are told. They are told. This is the argument. If this money goes like this, hata sisi wacha tukule. DCI, wacha sisi tukule. Even EACC, wacha hata sisi tukule. Hata judiciary, listen to this, Sam. Judiciary, independent judges and courts, they look at the law, they punish somebody, they put him in jail. Then he is gotten from the jail and he's out. Okay? Then the judge will say, wacha sisi tukule hata sisi. Because ukifanya kazi yetu, somebody anaizuzia ambaye amefungwa kwa sababu ya ufisadi, sasa ako nje. What is the point of jailing somebody? Let us also eat. So we have become now on eat all society. Everybody is eating.
All right.
That is why I'm saying, Sam, what we need in this country is a revolutionary generation that will come and stop this habit of corrupting our country. Look, as I finish. No, wait a minute, Sam.
To land the point.
No, wait a minute.
I need to hear.
No, wait a minute. Today, I was reading yesterday, I was scamming in the social media, and yesterday we saw a clinic, I think it's a pharmacy, somewhere, receiving 66 million shillings for SHA. It's not even a hospital. It is a clinic. It's not a clinic. It's a pharmacy. It's a chemist. But 66 million have gone there. We saw a school in Homa Bay receiving 19.9 million shillings for the SHA thing, and nobody is even daring.
It's a health facility.
No, it's a facility. It's a health facility.
No, it's okay.
But I'm saying this.
I've heard you.
No, let me finish by saying.
No. I want to hear from Mheshimiwa Gitonga Mukunji, because you sit in Parliament. Please help us here, because without these institutions, he has described
I first want to say that the talk on corruption is actually something that starts at the budget level. If we work on how we budget and we put money in various ministries and parastatos, we can actually curb corruption in this country. We have given the presidency a blank check as Parliament to take money, to have money in cash, and that is why you have seen so much money moving around, Sam. And that is where this problem starts. And I will not fear to say this, Sam, that the presidency has actually enhanced corruption, not fought it in any way. And we cannot take his word seriously if we are serious in this country. Because today you'll hear the presidency moving around, doing harambes, doing all this and that, producing 20 million. But you'll never see a bank transfer of that money from one account to another.
Where does it come from?
It is pure cash, hard cash. That tells you that there is a hole somewhere that has been created to get these monies so that they can move around doing empowerment.
And is Parliament able to see that?
Without implementation and without oversight. Because you cannot oversight hard cash. That is the sad part. That Ministry of Interior today, I read the other day that they have already utilized close to 80% of the budget that they have been given for the year 2025-2026. Within 2 months. It tells you that they are able to get this cash from Treasury in cash and move around, do all these manner of things, and we will never fight corruption.
Do members of Parliament know that?
They know.
What are they going to do?
I mean, they are part of what we are moving. I mean, when the president is moving around, he carries around members of Parliament. And that is where the problem is. And some will not sit here and pretend.
What is the solution?
The solution is actually starting with that awakening of the members of Parliament. That you members of Parliament who think the president will protect you, he will throw you under the bus and he will leave you to the dogs. And you will even lose your seat because you are already unpopular. And a member of Parliament mentioned this on the floor of the House, that Your Excellency, you have used us, now you know we are unpopular, and you want to dump us and leave us useless. That's a member of Parliament said that.
But have they received something during their work? Have they received something?
What do you mean receive something?
Because of the 10 million that we're hearing, ilitolewa haikufika kwa wabunge, have members of Parliament also been receiving something?
You see, if you are together with the executive you are, I mean, if you do the maths alone of what empowerment programs are happening, without any policy, without any ministry involvement, and you see members of parliament, 100,000, 200,000, 500,000, you do the maths alone, you'll see that member of parliament that earns $1 million, only 800,000 a month, cannot afford to do.
But they keep telling us they do businesses.
Which businesses?
I don't know.
Which businesses in this country? Businesses are crashing because of the corruption and of matters to do with taxes that we are putting in the burden of Kenyans. The extravagance.
Tell me, Mheshimiwa Mukunji.
I want to land my point, Sam, because it's very important.
Yeah.
That where the corruption tickles down is the presidency, and then it has gone down to the National Assembly, to even the governors. Because you cannot do anything to do with the fight against corruption if we don't start with curbing the hard cash handling at the executive level of government, from State House, moving to the Ministry of Interior, to the Deputy Presidents. All those areas is where you find they move out with cash in millions. And if you do the maths alone, and I hope somebody is doing the maths, you'll find that in the last close to 6 months, over close to 60 billion has been used around in the movement with choppers and everything. And it tells you, you cannot locate corruption, Sam, directly. And that is why you hear the president is saying there was 10 million. But you not locate and say it was transferred from here. It was hard money. And so the indications of corruption is the fact that you are handling hard cash. You cannot verify where your money is coming from.
Yeah.
And you're moving around with all these monies. You can give a church 20 million. You can give you can pass around and move around and give another 10 million. It tells you that there is a hole somewhere that needs to be...
So if you, as Mheshimiwa Mukunji, and a few others know this,
yes,
and you sit in Parliament to share the national cake,
yes,
why not reduce the allocations to some of these departments that are guilty of...
No, one of the policies that we are really trying to push is a policy on matters to do with handling movement of money, especially if you're a public officer. You need to be able to, when you donate 100,000, write a check. Don't give cash. Write a check. It's okay. You can donate even $1 million if you have it. But write a check so that a paper trail can be seen on matters to do with where you have gotten the money, where it is going. But today, even that getting to the National Assembly, my friend, with a broad-based nonsense, it will be hard because the Parliament is now part of the executive. And that is the sad part.
Mheshimiwa Sossion, have the final word here. Because it looks like we're so trapped.
No, we are deliberately creating a conundrum so that we avoid punishing corruption. The judiciary must be supported to expedite cases and put to jail those involved in corruption one way or the other, and even recover all proceeds of corruption and revert them to the public. Parliament must show the lead. When we see Parliament trying to act defensive, I don't think it's right. This is not the moment to be defensive on matters of corruption. And those who were mentioned to have taken bribes, because bribe is a form of corruption, are individuals. They are 1 or 2 or 3. So there cannot be collective protection of Parliament when actually there are indications that there are actual bribes that may have gone on involving some individuals. And actually those individuals should be investigated and they must record statements. They must be prosecuted and punished if they've done so. The executive arm of government, let us not look like the executive is running away from corruption. When the president himself comes out and speaks honestly against corruption and is one of the items of implementation in the 10-point agenda, how is it going to be implemented if you want to tie the hands of the president? And I think at this point, the president should let any government officer even from his own deputy to ministers to government officers who are involved in corruption. And there is evidence and data and facts. Let us not run away from facts. Let them be prosecuted and carry their own crosses. Until and unless we criminalize, expedite punishment of corruption, it is not going to stop. I was in Malaysia and I asked, how do you, because the poverty index is not more than 3%, and there's equity, there's opportunity for everybody.
Okay.
Even this medical insurance we are talking about, there are no insurances because the medical facilities provide all services that are required to the citizens. Corruption is punished, and is not just punished by simple punishment. You are sentenced to death. Until and unless we have a Damascus moment as a country and agree, okay, you get involved, you go to jail and go to jail forever.
All right.
We must learn to punish. Let us not try to defend and build harmony with corruption.
Do they appeal against that decision?
There is nothing like appealing.
Level.
You are punished within a short time. And
no, the case goes at 9, and at 2 o'clock you are hanged.
You go in at
Malaysia
9.
and Singapore.
You are processed immediately by 3, you are gone.
You can't apply in Kenya.
And that is why, yes, it will
no,
apply.
It can't apply here.
We've talked, it should apply. We have laws. Even if there's bills of rights. But then, at the end of the day, there must be a punishment. Okay. Where there is empirical evidence that Okanga has been involved in corruption, either of stealing or either of integrity issues or either abusing the office. It must be punished. Okay. Until it is punished, and we talk about the Bill of Rights,
unfortunately,
the Bill of Rights must have limitations.
But who is going to punish it?
That's fine. We're out of time.
The leadership must be provided.
Who is going to punish it?
Let me take feedback.
Singapore took what it took because the Prime Minister said, keep the system clean. Okay. And here the President is saying, let us keep the system clean. Why
who is going to punish it?
Why can't we support that process?
In Kenya, if...
the problem is that we want to politicize. If an officer is taken
to court, they'll say that I'm being fought politically because I've taken a certain persuasion.
And the court will also not do it.
So, but the prosecution, the institutions have evidence.
At Citizen TV Kenya, at Sam Gituku, the structure is Citizen Daybreak. Frank Orinde, MPs must stop clinging to NGCDF. Their mandate is clear: representation, legislation, and oversight. Managing funds creates a conflict of interest. You cannot be both a referee and a player. Time to end double roles and strengthen accountability. So Nixon Dogira, it is very unfortunate that the bursary scheme, that is 35% of NGCDF, is usually distributed corruptly, where you find undeserving cases, sometimes reaping bigger than the needy and deserving students from poor background. MC Romaz, there is no goodwill to fight corruption. Even the president is just playing mind games in the whole issue about fighting the vice. If he has evidence, let him present it to the relevant authorities to take action. Otherwise, it's just lip service. Okay, Mwalimu, one would wonder why our legislators have chosen political posturing over service delivery. What prevents them from sticking to their lane of representation, oversight, and legislation? They shouldn't only be united when raising their salaries and fighting allegations. And Babu Michael, the war on corruption shouldn't experience any double standards. It's clear this war is being fought selectively. The so-called multi-agency team may not satisfactorily fight this war. The EACC should be given the required mandate to do the job. Actually, they have the mandate in law. Perhaps practice is what the issue would be. Mheshimiwa Gitonga Mukunji, Mheshimiwa Stephen Dishu, Mheshimiwa Wilson Sossion, and Fred Okango, thank you for making time for us of this conversation. There's a topic we didn't touch on, that is on the goons and our politics. We will do that tomorrow morning, but that's our time. My name is Sam Gituku. See you again some other time. Bye for now.
Thank you.